All right. Hi, everybody. So our app is called Clutch Sports. Always be ready. So all of us, I think it's safe to say that all of us here in my group, we're all sports fans. And I guess the motivation for this was we wanted to create something that would actually show this and also something that we could actually use. So we came up with this idea to have this sort of sports app where essentially you type in your team name, Miami Heat, New York Knicks, New York Mets, and you get some information about that. So just to show you, can you just type in New York Mets? Sorry. So you type in the Mets, and then it just gives you ticketing information. You can go down, scroll it down. Yeah. Just scroll down, and we'll do this again. And then. Oh, you have to. And you also have news articles. And then finally, if you just go down a little bit, we also have merchandise where we're using eBay and you can search eBay for merchandise. So we're just sort of going to go into each one of these now in more detail. So just type in another term if you want. If you could just go to the top and just type in New York Yankees. So that's essentially how our app works. So now let's sort of go more into the details. So I guess I'm going to give it to Maike to talk about what she did with the ticketing information.
Sure. So I worked with the API of SeatGeek, and I think it was discussed before, but it's a great API that allows you to use SeatGeek, the website, to look for events that are coming up. And I used Moment.js, which is fantastic for formatting of the time and the location or the time of the events that was happening, and also I took the location of where things were occurring, where the games were happening. So you can see the upcoming events for the Yankees that we have. And one other thing that I thought was nice is when you reload the page, so when you just refresh it and haven't put any search terms in, it'll just come up with the next few events that are happening even around the world. So if you're just point blank looking at the website, you can kind of see what's happening and maybe give you some ideas of what's going on. Like that. There you go. Okay.
Okay. So next up we have our news API, and for this we used Google Custom Search. And we did this because apparently finding like a reliable source for sports news was sort of difficult. We went to ESPN first, and they don't have freely available public keys anymore. A lot of other APIs were like deprecated, so they were difficult to use. So what we did was, with Google Custom Search, it allows you to create a custom search engine, and it allows you to search a specific website. So the website that we use is called Bleacher Report. So all of these articles are from that website.
Second after ESPN.
Yeah, so that's where we pulled all of our news article information from. So it pulls about 9 for each query that you put in.
So finally, I guess, so once you can get your tickets and then you have your information, you can gear up and actually find jerseys or whatever you want to actually take to the game. So I'm just going to type in LeBron James jersey. So this links you to eBay, and we have a list of 20 items, and you can just click on the picture and it'll take you to eBay where you can bid or do whatever you want. So yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it on the actual app, the way it works. So we'd like to actually get into the code now. And I'm going to pass it over to Anthony, who will just start with the front end.
Okay. So as you can see, when I scroll down, the background images and the content are moving at 2 different speeds, kind of giving it a 3D depth illusion to it. And I achieved this by using parallax. So let me show you guys. I separated each of these 3 pages into different sections. Where's that? And then I gave each section tag a data attribute of data type called background and data speed equal to 10. And the style CSS, I formatted the images to my liking and then made them fixed. There you go. And in JavaScript, you see the jQuery document.ready function. And this here section, data type background, targets all the sections. And window.scroll function starts, it executes the code when someone scrolls on the page. And this variable y position, it's equal to the negative value of window.scrollTop, which measures how far the user has scrolled, and divides it by the data speed, which was 10. So for example, if someone was to scroll down the page by 60 pixels, it would be divided by 10, so the background image moves by -6 pixels. And it's negative because when you scroll down, you want the image to go up. And then there's a variable called coordinates, and it's equal to 50%, which makes the image static in the x position. And then you see the y position variable plus the pixels, and I assigned it to the CSS.
So you want to talk about?
Sure, I'll go next. So when using the SeatGeek API, so first there was a listener to grab the search term and put it to lowercase, and then also to format it correctly for the SeatGeek API. It didn't like no spaces between words, so you had to put dashes in. So I had to format it such that SeatGeek API would take it very nicely. After calling the function, what we decided to do, if you noticed, we had our results in 2 columns for the ticketing information. So I assigned it either, I emptied the left or the right divs, which we set up in the HTML in the upfront. And then the ticket results would come back as an array of 10 results. So I stepped through the array and assigned each of the things that I was interested in, the title of the event, the location and the time, and also the URL to take you to buy those tickets to different variables, which I was then able to access and step through and then assign to the different divs on both the left and right hand side of the page when you were looking at the actual ticketing information that it was displaying.
Okay, so immediately after it does that, it goes into the custom search API for the news articles. I did have to change the format a little bit so that Google would accept it with a plus in between instead of a dash. So basically, you just stick the search term right in the URL here, and it'll pull 10. It'll pull 10 responses. The first, I think, is information about the query itself, and then the next 9 will be news articles. So essentially, you get from the item, which represents the article itself, and then a page map, which represents things that are found on the page. So that's where I pulled most of the information from. Here I have, in news title, I have the name of the article, and then the thumbnail, so I can have an image that represents the article. The article body, which is sort of like a snippet from the news article, the URL to link directly to it, and the date that it was published. And this part here essentially just puts it into 3 separate divs, so that the top row is the first 3 articles, the next row is the next 3, and so on.
So finally, I did the eBay API, and one thing I just want to pretty much point out is actually 2 things. I sort of have a little bit of trouble with this. I don't know if you guys, whenever you've used APIs, you've come across this sort of cross-origin error. I wanted to point that out. So essentially, when you're requesting, I guess, information from another domain, you get this error. So essentially, there's a hack around it where you just add this to your header. So if you guys ever encounter that, you can do that. Yeah, so everything else I use in each function instead of a for loop with jQuery, and to get the information. So finally, I guess you can say if we had more time, or what our future considerations would be, I would like to add more sort of buying options content, and probably make this site more social by adding maybe possibly like a chat function or something like that, because sports is about bringing people together. So, but there's definitely a lot of ways to do that. And then anything else, do you guys? I guess probably too, just in the news, just more news options, but there's definitely so many things you can do with sports. Thank you.